deliberate habits that allow a family in exactly this position to maintain the lifestyle and social position an enormous net worth would suggest, not through denial and not through the slow-motion collapse we examined before, but through structural choices that, once understood, turn out to be genuinely transferable to households with far less at stake than a stately home. The first habit is not really a habit at all, it is a mental model, and everything else follows from it. The family that maintains high-class status without cash has made an explicit distinction between assets and income. A distinction most households never consciously draw because for most households the two are roughly proportional. More income tends to mean more assets, and vice versa. For the asset-rich, cash-poor family, this proportionality has broken down completely, and rather than treating this as a crisis to be resolved by converting assets back into income, exactly the trap we examined in our first video, the slow sale of everything that made the position worth having, the family reorganizes its entire relationship with spending around the assets it has, treating the house, the land, and the position itself not as things to be liquidated, but as the infrastructure of a lifestyle that requires remarkably little cash to sustain once you stop trying to fund it the way a cash-rich family would. The most visible version of this habit, particularly in Britain, is the country house that opens its doors to the public for tours, weddings, film shoots, corporate events, turning what was previously a pure cost center into something generating, if not a large income, then enough to cover a meaningful portion of the maintenance costs that would otherwise come directly out of pocket. This is a genuinely elegant solution because it does not require selling the asset, does not require the family to leave, and converts something that exists anyway, the house, which needs heating and maintaining regardless of whether anyone visits, into a source of partial income simply by allowing access. In the UK, heritage organizations and conservation trusts have formalized versions of this arrangement, in some cases taking on a property's maintenance burden in exchange for public access and tax advantages, allowing a family to remain in occupation of a home they could no longer afford to maintain alone. The broader principle, turning an underused asset into a partial income stream without giving up ownership, applies far beyond stately homes. A spare room, a garage, equipment used only occasionally. The asset-rich, cash-poor household at any scale can apply the same logic, generating income from something that already exists and already cost money to maintain, rather than treating sell it and keep paying for it alone as the only two options. The second habit sounds almost too simple to be a strategy, and yet it is one of the most financially significant decisions a family in this position can make, dramatically reducing the operating footprint of the asset while maintaining ownership of the whole. The family that owns a 40-room house but genuinely lives daily in 4 or 5 of those rooms, heating only those rooms, furnishing only those rooms, maintaining them to the standard daily living requires, while the remainder sits closed, unheated, and maintained only enough to prevent structural decline, has found a way to own an asset of enormous nominal value while incurring the running costs of something far smaller. This is rarely presented as a sacrifice, and in families who do this successfully, it genuinely is not experienced as one, because the rooms in daily use are, almost without exception, furnished and maintained beautifully, to a standard any visitor would register as comfortable and well-appointed, while the closed wings simply do not enter the family's daily experience at all. The asset retains its full value, its full social significance, and its full presence in the family's identity, while the cash cost of living in it is a fraction of what the building's size would suggest.